Hello, everyone, and welcome to another phenomenal episode of Beautiful Minis and Where to Find Them. And today we have four more places for you to not only source your minis, but potentially even print them. Today we're going to start with Arcane Shipyards. Now, Arcane Shipyards has a pretty limited selection. They have a pretty awesome looking orc ship here. But the real reason why I direct you to Arcane Shipyards is one, the Tabari ships are here, and the guy over at Arcane Shipyards put a lot of work and effort into his Tobari craft, which you can find in Warp Rift. Look at that cute little escort. It's so adorable. But beyond that, what we have here are the Rakgall fleet. Now, the Rakgall debuted in, I believe it was Book of the Void 2. They're one of the community's greatest achievements when it comes to the construction of a completely new fleet with absolutely no links or connections to prior fleets. And the design of the ships are absolutely positively phenomenal. They are just beautiful. They're actually, sourced from actual material from Games Workshop. Well, Privateer Press mostly, but they have an entire fleet with full access to all of the ships if you wanted to get this bundle. The ships themselves look absolutely incredible. I love the design. They actually have a look and feel that is unique in Battlefleet Gothic, which is one of the biggest reasons why I enjoy them. Arcane Shipyards, 100% worth getting if you want to build a Rakgall fleet, or if you want to build the Tabari, or if you want a good-looking Orc Cruiser. So, moving on, I'm sure no one is surprised that we moved on to No Fix Forge. No Fix Forge was heavily suggested to me by others, but I kind of wanted to wait and get a much better look at all of the stuff he has, and boy, oh boy, does he have a lot of stuff. So let's have a look. The vessels that he makes are such a distinctive and beautiful design, but I have to point out the Grecian Greco-Roman design here is absolutely stunning. I very much appreciate it. If I were to be in any way critical of this design, it's a little squat for my tastes. It's very broad in their design, but it still looks great. I mean, look at this awesome Colosseum, and you have right here a take on the Pantheon in Rome here, and I assume this is meant to be uh, the oh God, I can't even remember. It's too early in the morning. The Temple of Athena in Athens, and all of these awesome little temples that serve as the bridge for his take on the Imperial Navy. But the Gala class battleship is a incredible achievement. This beautiful design is filled with detail. A little squat, again, a little big and chunky for my taste, because I like my ships to be more elongate and elegant. But if your love is for that design, by all means, take it. But he has all of these distinct fleet packs. I want to take a look at the Chaos Flotilla because and it's another beautiful case of just inspired design. Now, you notice he has that theme. The ships are significantly broader than your standard Chaos ship. He has battleship options for you. He has escort options for you. And of course, he has his take on the Planet Killer, which is probably the most awesome and inspired thing I've seen in modeling for quite some time. I adore this awesome central piece, which I always felt on the original Planet Killer model was somewhat lacking. But I love this take on it. It looks fantastic. I probably will end up actually getting one of these printed for myself one day. If I were to give it a criticism, if you can see here, there's kind of lacking detail at the very end of the spokes of the Planet Killer's Annihilation cannon. But, and again, I don't like my cruisers being quite so broad. I always imagine Chaos ships as being very long and sleek and aerodynamic because they're very, very fast. Let's see. What other looks do we have? We already see the Imperial. It looks like he has is this a Nurgle fleet or is this just nope, it's a Nurgle fleet. So if you like the Plague fleet of Nurgle, you have your own fleet design for you. Very spiky, very pussy, very nice. Let's see what this is. I've never actually looked too in depth at this one. Looks like a pleasure fleet option, and eh, actually, it's either a pleasure fleet or a standardized chaos fleet. It looks great. Again, you're looking at this very wide and broad design that he does seem to enjoy. The battleships have a two-tiered design because you can see the weapon bay goes here, weapons bays go two, well, two on the top, one on the bottom. That kind of reduces their overall length, which, actually, now that I think about it, will be great for transport because the bigger the model is, the harder it is to transport. And of course, it looks like you have a nice fleshy demon ship right there. Nothing wrong with a little bit of fleshy demon ships. And this is a Dante fleet pack. I'm not entirely sure what that is. Looks like another Chaos variant. Yeah, just a Chaos variant. Looks like they have a Grand Cruiser option back here, which looks really, really cool. I always love people when they show respect to the Grand Cruiser design. So he has multiple designs. You have a Space Marine. Let's check out his Space Marines real quick. Okay, so again, he has this design preference of, wow, my internet is horrible this morning. He has this design preference for wide. You can always find the wide. But again, if this is the aesthetic you like, then by all means, this is probably going to be one of the better options. Now, I really do want to. These are the ones I'm really excited about, the Necrons and the Tyranids. But let's take a look at the Necrons first. Now, I already made a video about Red Arsenal, and if Red Arsenal is not to your taste, or definitely go with No Fixed Forges Necrons because they look absolutely phenomenal. I love the giant swinging what's it? The swinging pendulum look of the scythe. His tomb ship is big and buggy and has, of course, all the croissants that you could ever ask for, which is always important. His escorts look really, really good, and they're very easily discernible from one another. Oh, come on, cults. There we go. See, so obviously you have the Jackal here and the Dirge, or is that the Dirge and that's the Jackal? I guess it really depends on which one you want to proxy it in. Now, the Tyranids, these are actually, I think, some of my favorite stuff that he does, because we really kind of lack really solid Tyranids at every scale, and we have in his fleet, we have Gubbins. I like Gubbins. We in his fleet, what we have is this really good looking, looks like a hive ship option, and when painted, it looks fantastic. Yeah, I believe this is supposed to be your cruiser. It's very noticeably Tyranids, which is also great. Tyranid options for Battlefleet Gothic are typically you go to a local store or find your buddy, get a bunch of Tyranid bits, and then just construct your fleet. But such as it is, the Tyranid options out there are pretty limited, so I always appreciate good-looking Tyranid minis. Okay, the next place we're going to go take a look at is a place where you can actually get some of the minis that I've been showing you. This is Scourge Scenics. Now, Scourge Scenics obviously is using Italian Moose's work. You can see here it has Fusion Shipyards work. I believe they still have some of their own designs up here. I'm not entirely sure which ones there are, but as you can see, Scourge Scenics has phenomenal designs for Space Marines. I believe these are their own Space Orcs. I would have to double check, but these are fantastic options for an Orc fleet. They have what appears to be their own unique Necrons. These are pretty classic Necrons. These are very reminiscent of the standard GW ones. They have critically what they have is some terrain, which is not the most common thing you see people have, like beyond the escorts. But you have orbital defense platforms, which are basically carbon copies of the old GW orbitals. You have the orbital defense, the docking. What is it called? The docking station. You have to look up the specific name for it. But yeah, also these really pretty alternatives to orbital defense batteries. They have these nice little cathedrals on them. These are not common. And again, really nice. I don't know why the sword and the firestorm are in here with the space terrain. And he also has starter fleets, and these guys will of course print them out and send them to you. As somebody stated in a comment, they wanted a place where we could actually get these if you didn't have access to a 3D printer. Now, fortunately for all of us, not having a 3D printer is rapidly becoming less of a problem. You can go to your local friendly gaming store, and that problem will solve itself. Somebody in there has a 3D printer. Now, the last one we're going to do today is uh, a little bit of how would I put this? I'm not a giant fan of all of Vanguard's business practices, but I love their miniatures. So we're going to look at them. A lot of you have probably seen these before. These are their take on the Battlefleet Gothic Imperial Navy. These also debuted in uh, uh, Book of the Void 2 as the Helion Fleet, created by. Ugh, hate that. These were designed by a gentleman named Vaish. I think I'm pronouncing that right. His talent is phenomenal when it comes to the creation of these ships. If you can effectively build any form of pretty standard Imperial Navy with these. I own these. I own a fleet of these ships. They are absolutely gorgeous. There are elements of the design I'm not a fan of. Namely, let me look at this. If you look right here, you will see that there's basically this area on the end. You can't see my mouse cursor, but if you look at the main body of the cruiser, leading right up to where the prow would attach, one, there's no keyhole for the prow. So there's no easy way to attach the prow to the actual hull. You can also see these are all injection molds, or if maybe not injection, these are either injection mold or standard mold. And in the era of 3D printing, this technology is effectively and sadly obsolete. There's really no point in paying the premium for a mold of these when we should be 3D printing them on a resin printer. So, but this area in front is very oblong. It is not very straight. It is kind of a mold error. And when I brought it up that this area should be flattened down for a proper connection, they insisted that it was a feature, a feature and not a bug, which is regrettable because it very much does not fit. The bays look fantastic. I can attest personally that the bays are great. Now, the lance bays here and here really do need larger guns, and they do sell turrets on their website for larger gun bay turrets. Their escorts are all themselves positively gorgeous. The escorts are actually some of the things I like the most about them because they just look great and they fit the theme of the fleet fantastically. Even the Firestorm equivalents here have these awesome little Helldrake cannons on them. They look amazing. It's one of the reasons why I built the fleet. I built that fleet. Now, let's move into some areas of criticism. The biggest one that I have is this boy here. The battleship they have, one, is positively gorgeous. I do own one when they did their limited release, and then they refused utterly to release it ever again. And I've gotten word from the guy who runs Vanguard. It is not likely that they will ever do this again, which is sad. And what's worse, they had alternate prows. They had a fire drake prow, a torpedo prow, and a sensor prow for these, and they refused to release them. They're all in 3D modeling too, but they refuse utterly to move on to better 3D printing. Now, this is a big chunky boy, but good 3D printers out there can easily print this out with absolutely no issue whatsoever. So they refuse to release it, and they refuse to really allow us to purchase the STL. It just basically they have it sitting here on their website squatting with us never allowed to purchase this again. And I want at least two more of these things because they look phenomenal. They're beautiful miniatures. They have this awesome Hagia Sophia look to them. I love the two on the top, one on the bottom design. It's phenomenal. Oh, and again, tendency for these things to have turrets that are just a little too small. But again, they sell bigger turrets, which I have modified mine with their bigger pewter turrets. Um, Damn shame. I really wish that they would just either release the STL for this for a price or start selling this again. You know, if you have something, don't just squat on it so nobody is allowed to enjoy it. It it's such a damn shame. But they also have a another setup of a fleet. They have a AdMech fleet, or at least a limited one. They have some AdMech escorts, which look really, really good if you're building an AdMech fleet. They have a take on the on an AdMech-like cruiser. I'm not a giant fan because it's a little too spindly, if that makes any sense. A little too narrow on the neck here. But it does have the right feel, which was something I appreciate. But as you can see, excellent escorts for an AdMech fleet. They have the Novan Commonwealth. This is another. Actually, this is a much older design than most people know. Uh, this is this basically was the design of the original Vossprow way back in the day when people wanted to have Vossprow cruisers and never were able to really get them. Now, originally, the prows themselves were sold separately, but so the Zeus pattern is a little piece of BFG history, and I used to have a great deal of them. Now, these I may actually have to end up getting because I love these Novan cruiser prows. These look fantastic. Absolutely adore them. But you have Novan Fleet escorts, of course. You have a. This should look familiar to anybody who has played Space Fleet, a blown up and highly detailed version of the old Imperial cruiser. It looks absolutely beautiful. Excellent talent in the creation of these. And here we are. If you ever really want another piece of history, these are the original fan-made uh, Eagle Vossprows that were released a long time ago, back when the name of the game was basically these forms of standard molds before 3D printing came around. And I still think these things actually hold up in the modern era phenomenally. These look beautiful. I recommend them if you actually have a series of old original plastics because these fit them very, very well. Also their escorts are super cute. These are actually properly to scale with the Cobra, so they are a perfect Cobra alternative and proxy. They have a Grand Cruiser design. Yeah, so as you can see, these are phenomenal. These look absolutely amazing if you're looking for a really good Imperial option. And if you are looking for probably the closest approximation to what the Endeavor, the Endurance, and the Defiant were originally going to look like. This, I used to have a bunch of these. These were made a very long time ago, back when everyone wanted it and no one could make it. And I believe it was Vaish who made these and then for a brief time sold them himself. So let's see what's on page 2. I'm curious. Oh, these are the Novan Merchant Logistics Carriers. So these are debuted in Book of the Void 2 as well. So if you're looking to build a commercial fleet out of them, they're right there. Is there anything else? Novan Elites. Oh, these are their take on Space Marines. These are also very, very nice escorts. Not my personal like of a design, but if you enjoy I would almost call this a more Battlestar Galactica look to your Space Marines, definitely take a look at these. These are fantastic little escort craft. They are actually pretty cool. So I do approve. They have ordnance models. So if you're looking for things to represent your fighters and your bombers, you have uh, what looks like Thunderhawks or Storm Ravens, mines. Here we go. This is actually the coolest part that they make. These ordnance sets, these turrets are really, really, really cool. I definitely appreciate that they make them, especially the ones here in the upper left-hand corner. These tri-barrels are great as an alternative to the dual barrels that they send with their lance bays for their Imperial craft. But as you can see, they have torpedoes, they have turrets, they have mines, they have a lot of really cool stuff, and they have really good looking dread claws for your chaos list. Of course, my headset's still giving me a pain. I apologize. We have a couple of really good looking freighters, and over here, the Renegade fleet. Now they were beginning on making a Chaos fleet, a Chaosified fleet, and these aren't bad. These are effectively your equivalent of Iconoclasts and the other Chaos escorts, Infidels, and Idolators. They do have a really cool look to them. They do appear to be a multi-part kit, which, again, the obsession with the injection, the mold, the resin molding, I don't understand anymore. It just isn't a particularly viable option, and it looks like, the use of pewter is being used. It's kind of locked in the past. They really need to update to uh 3D printing. The time of pewter is just over, and the time of this molding element is just also in the past. It's really old and outdated. You can get a lot more detail out of a 3D printer now, which kind of is a demonstration of our how fast we've advanced in miniature making. Um, if the beautiful people at Vanguard do ever see this, please just update these to an STL, get a 3D model made out of them, and sell either the prints or, yeah, sell us 3D prints or sell us the STL. Because especially for the Helion League battleship, I know it exists. There's no reason at all to just squat on it and not let people enjoy it. It's an opportunity for you guys to make money. Yeah, it's a limited amount of money, I'm aware, because you can't control an STL file, but it's doing you nothing just sitting on this website and laughing at us. So that is today's video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. If you know of any other really great BFG mini maker, let me know down in the comments below, and I should be able to get them into their next video. I'll see you all later and have a great morning.